Welcome to the vlog. Today we're going to go over some more stuff on the gray truck. We're going to talk about some mods to the engine that you didn't know about, some mods to the suspension you didn't know about, and also some important things like choosing a wheel tire setup. It's very important because right now I'm so close to rubbing, but I'm not though. That's the key thing, I'm not. So we're going to go over some stuff today. We're going to do some cinematic shots, but first we got to get some coffee. Alright, so let's talk exhaust systems. The exhaust on this truck is basically kind of a mixture of a couple different things. To start off, I used to have a C5 Corvette, and the Corvette was really cool. I mean, I had fun with it. It was a good car. Ended up trading it to get that Camaro. So there was some mods pulled off the Vet that got used on this. That dip is terrible right here, but anyway, some of the stuff that got pulled off of the Corvette was used here. And first thing that I'd done when I got rid of the Corvette, of course, was I ripped the Borla attacks off the back of it, got rid of that system, and the mufflers ended up going to my father. He's got a 67 Camaro, and his car was just pretty loud, so he ended up using those Borlas on his, so I had what was left of a straight pop axle back. I know most of you are probably thinking, why in the world would you try to put a C5 exhaust on a full-size Chevy? Because no one else has, that's why. So I ended up taking that exhaust to a guy I know, and typically, you know, your Corvette is center exit exhaust. So on this thing, I was like, let's try something different. Let's flip it and put it out each side. And it worked okay. It's still kind of growing on me. It's so different that even I'm unsure about it. I got some love on some of the forums and stuff. A lot of people really liked it, but when you see it in person, I don't know, if I look at it the wrong way, I start to feel like I don't like it. So that may be coming off, I don't know. The truck sounds fantastic. So what I ended up doing was we took and rebuilt the exhaust system basically from the headers back. With this thing also being a 5-speed, made it a little difficult to do an exhaust system. We had to route it around the transmission, bring them together, and then I was straight popped for a long time, and it was crazy loud straight popped. So we did the MagnaFlows. Basically, there is nothing special about these mufflers at all. I just bought them off the shelf, and it literally just went to an Advance and bought them off the shelf. There is nothing crazy about them. They work pretty good. They're kind of a straight through muffler, and the good thing about that straight through design is that it's got some packing around it, and it's not completely straight. It's got like an S shape to it, so it muffles it down pretty good to where when I'm idling, I know that may have sounded kind of loud, but honestly it's quiet compared to what it used to be. So when I'm idling and stuff, you can still hear it, but it's not obnoxious. It's not so loud that I just can't stand to be around it. Okay, this truck used to be that bad. It used to be horrible. So we did the MagnaFlows and then kind of just fabbed up our own system to get it to the back of the truck, and it worked pretty good. You know, it really did. So that's another thing about this truck that I really like, though, is we did everything ourselves. This is not really I dropped it off at a shop, and you know, we paid them, and you know, it wasn't like that at all. That was not the case with this thing. Actually ended up doing probably about 90% of it ourselves, actually. You know, most of it was just me and my dad working on it. Now, I will admit, we didn't do the paint. Paint was done by a good guy out in Countryside Customs. You have to look this guy up. probably find him on Facebook. I believe he has a page. If you need a car painted, you know somebody needs a car painted, check them out. They're pretty awesome. They've done a lot of work for me. They painted the little white S10 that you guys see on the channel. They also painted the white RX-7, my buddy's. It was an LS1 car with a 6-speed. That was a really cool build. They painted it. They painted a couple other local cars here. They did really good work. But anyway, the engine in this truck is another thing we're going to go over here shortly. 327 Chevy, nothing special, 2-bolt main, your typical junkyard build. Started out with a bare block and then built it up from there. As you can see in the last video, those pistons in there are a TRW part number. This truck was built like 3 or 4 years ago. I've lost track of part numbers and things. I've got receipts at home, I just don't happen to have access to them. But it's a TRW part number. It's got a little dome on top, so by the time you did the math with the compression and the heads and all that good stuff, it took the truck to 10.8 to 1 compression. So one thing we got to do today is the thing I dread the most, but it's kind of a love-hate relationship with this. I need racing fuel. When I turn this thing off, it actually runs backwards sometimes with no racing fuel in it. So it's really hard on it. Luckily these aren't interference engines or it would have blown itself up, but I caught it doing it about 2 or 3 times yesterday. So to keep that from happening today, we are going to go and pump a little 110. Now, this truck's going to idle different, it's going to sound different, it's going to run different. Alright, now we got some racing fuel in here. Yep, spin. Let's spin. Still spinning. When the tires are cold in this truck, it's literally no traction. So that was second gear, 20 roll. With the 110 in it, I could tell a difference with just a little bit of 110. It's crazy. Let's get some lights on in here. There we go. I haven't shown you guys any engine footage. So here is what we're rocking in the gray truck. Also, if you guys want to see the interior, it's kind of dark, but I went with a charcoal gray. That's a Flamin' River steering wheel. It's also got a Pioneer head unit, Pioneer speakers in both sides, and it's got I believe it's a kicker with a built-in amplifier in the back. So that was actually a pretty good buy. If you're looking to get a subwoofer and you want it to be discreet and you just want to improve the sound, I'd highly recommend going with kickers in the built-in amp system with their sub. I would show you guys, it's so dark in here you're probably not going to be able to see it. If you'll Google it, bring it up on Amazon, they run about $150 to $180. I got mine from Best Buy and it's definitely worth it. As you can hear my fans running right now. Those fans are actually hooked up to a thermostat, which is, I believe, on this side. Yep. I don't know if you can see it there. And you got your wires running down there to your thermostat. But what that does is it regulates the temperature. So it works just like a thermostat in your house. What you can do with this is you set it to, let's say I want this truck to cool down at 160. I think the thermostat's set at 180. So you'll start the vehicle, let it run, get it up to temp, and then you'll move your dial until the fan kicks on, then don't touch it. That's how it knows it's just an analog dial. Set it to where you want it. And obviously I hooked mine up to just a hot wire, so it's got power all the time. It will kick back on. It probably will cycle maybe once or twice. With the hood open, it's not obviously going to cycle because I'm letting the heat out. But if I'm going to show and I pull up and I cut the truck off, a lot of people are like, why does that guy lift his fan running? And they'll stand there for a minute and they're thinking about trying to find me and it cuts off and they're like, oh, it's on a thermostat. Yeah, that's the way to go. So I would highly recommend that. Of course, I need to go back and wire the thing up correctly, but honestly, it's not eating anything. It doesn't bother anything. If you leave that hooked up, it's obviously not going to affect anything, guys. If you're going to do an electric fan, there is no problem with running that. So let me get some light on in here, and I'll show you guys the engine bay on this thing. By the way, if you need some extra light in your shop, these little guys right here are fantastic. They're at Lowe's. Should be able to pick them up about anywhere. So here's what we're looking at. The little 327. She's got a pair of Hedman ceramic coated headers. We're running 041 heads. We've got an Edelbrock air gap intake. There's I think that's a 2.5 inch tall K&N. Now the serpentine setup is all from the 4.3 that you guys probably saw in previous videos, as well as the fans down there. Other mods that's done to this, the fuel pressure regulator and everything is behind the engine. As you can see, that little blue thing there. A lot of people think that's nitrous, and that makes me laugh. It's a fuel pressure regulator. I'm running about 5.5 pounds of fuel pressure. Now the other great thing about this is I'm running stock fuel pump, guys. There is nothing special here. This is literally a 4.3 truck swapped to a 5.3. I don't know if you can see the mess of wires that I have running into that fender over there. I tried to neaten it up, and I feel like I did okay, but it's hard to hide, I don't know, there's probably 80 wires in that loom. So if you're gonna do one of these swaps, I highly recommend going with some type of way to hide your wiring. They make these looms, and you can literally stuff tons of wires in it. There's a place in your fender that you can stuff all the wires in. Obviously, tape them off. You don't want them to ground. You could pop a fuse, something stupid could happen. I've got one hot wire that feeds that distributor. That is an MSD, one wire, and it has a external voltage, or an external solenoid or voltage. And now what am I thinking of? Hang on here. Coil. That's not voltage right. The coil. It's an external coil. It's an MSD coil as well. The coil is located on the back of the engine. You actually have a couple brackets that you can kind of use. This particular setup uses a couple bolts from the Edelbrock air gap intake, and I'd highly recommend an air gap. Now another big thing is run a dual plane. If you're gonna do this and you want to street this truck, run a dual plane. Single plane, it's not a bad deal. Single plane is gonna give you more higher RPM. But if you're looking for that jumpy red light to red light, good torque, go with a dual plane. Just do it. And if you're questioning me, go on YouTube and follow at Engine Masters. You'll see that they did a very similar setup with the 280H comp cam. That's exact cam that this is running. Those guys put out, I think, around 440 horsepower, 420, somewhere in there. I can't remember the exact number. But they make good power. So I figure, and that was with a set of Vortec heads though. That's the only difference here. I'm running 041s. This is a late 60s head. You could have found this head on, say, a SS Camaro, 67, 69, even 70s Camaro would have ran the same head. It's got 202 valves in it, bigger springs. They're port polished. So these are a good set of heads. I mean, they flow pretty good. And for the street, man, for just a cast head, if you guys find 041 casting heads and you want to build a small block and you want to put this thing on the street and have some fun with it, I'm not racing people, okay? I mean, I'm not out here trying to win money. I'm not out here trying to do all this hood rat stuff. I've just made a cruiser. It's got some spunk to it, and it'll surprise some people. But it is not a race truck. It's a muscle truck. It's made to cruise, look good, and be quick when you want it to be. And that's the important thing here. I built the truck I wanted. When I was a kid and I got this thing, I was like, I always wanted this truck to just be clean. And it took me a long time to figure out what the definition of clean was, and I feel like I found it. Now another big upgrade was these tires. I'm running Pirelli P0s on the rear. They are a 275/40 with a 20-inch wheel. It's very close. You need at least 5 inches of backspace, guys. If you're gonna run a wheel that big and you got a flip kit or you got a 6-inch drop, get a wheel with some backspace. I know y'all like to run that zero offset life, but I'm telling you, 5 inches of backspace will clear, and there is no fender rolling required. That fender is not rolled. As you can see, that fender ain't rolled. There's nothing about it. Now on the front, setup's a little different. What I wanted to do, I wanted a lot of rake. I wanted the muscle truck look. So that's how I got the name muscle truck. The front is running an 18x8. It's got a 255/40 with a Sumitomo tire. I'll have to say these tires are pretty decent. If you go to Tire Rack, you'll see that's one of the cheaper tires you can get. And honestly, guys, if you got a street application and you're not going to drag race it, and you're going to play around, you're going to go to the mountains, and you're just going to burn them up pretty much, get these tires. They're great. Thanks for watching the vlog. If you like this, subscribe for more content. Otherwise, stay tuned. Thanks.